been 20 years since I visited the Max factory. That was in Buffalo, New York. Now we're in Bradenton, Florida.
Morning.
Andrew.
Nice to finally meet you.
After 20 years, right?
Yeah, right?
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was telling the guys a little bit this morning, just kind of, about you and everything, and how, 20 years ago, kind of the beginning of the, really when internet and forums and everything, how you were kind of like the go-to guy for transmission stuff and like that. And I remember I was telling Matt, my worker, that I remember seeing on your the Real ATV's website. I mean, I used to go through it all the time, looking at pictures and videos and all that stuff. So, I remember that you had something about, like, I think your first Max too, like 14 horse.
Yep.
And you hopped up the engine on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good.
I remember seeing that, like, man, someday I want to get a Max and do the same thing. And, so.
Yeah. That was the start of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, it looks like you got a few of them in here.
Yeah. No, it's happening. We're getting everything.
All right. Let's look over the machines a little bit, see what you got going. So this one is partially assembled. I see you do a lot of the body work over here. What you bring in here, and then
yeah. So we keep this state. Well, the first station there is where we assemble the chassis. It's much easier to assemble chain adjusters, steering levers, even put the transmission in when it's up on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And we drop it in, and we insert the axles, sprockets, start doing all of our adjusting and like that. So what we're doing right now, because we're still early on in all this, is that every vehicle we actually put a little bit of time testing it. So we'll take it, we'll take it out just on the road, make sure we kind of stretch the chains a little bit, get everything adjusted, make sure transmission's adjusted properly. Pretty much, it'll eliminate any PDI that a dealer has to do, for prepping the vehicle when they receive it. So
yeah, sounds good.
And we're doing a lot of factory direct too. So we want it to be turnkey when the customers receive it.
You said you updated the chain adjuster. I see the bolt on there.
Yep. So the chain adjuster, it's the same. This is the same slider that was used previously. It's very effective.
Much more durable. They won't pop up like the other ones did, huh?
Yeah, we tried a couple different versions of the design, but we came back to this after realizing this was the best solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So.
Yeah, and how are you securing the sprockets to the axles now? I see you got a collar on there.
Yep. So these are called the universal axles. So it's every axle is the same for all places of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. We slide the sprockets on. We use shaft collars to lock them in place, and that's it. So previously, they used to have snap ring grooves that were cut in different places depending on which axle was where in the machine. So there were, you had to have the front right axle made, then you had to have the center left axle made. It makes it more efficient for production by making them all the same and universal.
Sure, yeah, a lot easier. And I remember their snap ring was their last design, but before that they had a set screw that was impossible to remove.
Yep. So
this looks like a pretty good setup.
The snap ring era, actually, when looking back at all the data and reviewing the designs like it before we started, relaunch production, we found that created a weak link in the axle, which it makes sense because you're reducing that
you're cutting it down a little bit. Yeah.
But there were some warranty claims, like during using tracks or just a lot of
high stress situations.
That it would it would have a clean break right where the snap ring grooves were.
Oh yeah.
So so we eliminated that.
Yeah, and you're putting bearing cages on most or all the machines, or
I think out of all the machines we built, I would say 90% of them have bearing cages on them. So,
yeah, I'm sure it's a nice upgrade whether you run tracks or not. It's a lot more durable.
It's very popular. It's if you compared to the cost of the vehicle, it's a very small amount to add them. And so the new bearing cages, what we're doing now is we're adding the plow tabs on the rear as well. So that gives an additional place you can hook a chain to drag something out of the woods, or you can strap down the vehicle easily when transporting it. We had a lot of customers actually request that, so we decided that we just make that part of our new feature.
And you change the drain plugs here. That's a lot handier.
Yep.
So you can just unscrew them. Nice.
that we're offering right now.
So we got the 23 horse EFI Vanguard in this one. And that's the only engine you're doing right now?
It is, yeah. But once again, for relaunching the company, it's the most efficient to get one thing in higher quantities. And so we figured if we're going to pick one engine, going with the 23 EFI was the best choice. The fuel injection, it really brings the Max 2 alive.
Yeah,
the throttle response off the line will push you back in your seat.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And
really, back when they were building them, the 23 horse Kohler was the biggest they had finally put in it, and that was kind of a rare machine back then. So
this 23 Vanguard is a whole different animal than the 23 Kohler too. It's much snappier at the throttle, and of course, just in general, the EFI, Briggs claims about 25% better fuel economy with it as well.
Yeah. You got to go with EFI these days. Carburetor is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
So.
We had to redesign the internal muffler as well. So we actually made the muffler itself a smaller diameter than the original one, so it pushes the heat out.
Yeah, it's really nice.
quicker. So
is it really quiet like the old ones were?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and quiet, and of course we kept the recoil start. So this is kind of a unique thing that Briggs has too with the EFI. So even with EFI, if your battery dies, the first pull charges the ECM off or whatever. And it's very easy to pull. It's low compression engine. So.
Yeah. So we got quite a stack of machines here in all different varieties.
So some of these machines that we have are kind of just sitting here until we need them or until we're ready to sell them. But we'll start right here with this Buffalo. So this was this is a 2012 Buffalo. It's one of the last batches of Buffaloes that Recreate has produced. The reason we have this is so it can serve as our reference vehicle for when we're ready to start producing the Buffalo again. So if we stay according to our business plan schedule, our goal is to start producing Buffaloes next summer 25.
Nice.
So we're going to make some changes to it. I want to explore doing a lighter bed, maybe aluminum or even composite. This bed just weighs a ton in the water.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So this blue on blue right here, this is our prototype. This is the VIN number 1.
All right.
2024 Max 2.
All right.
A couple little imperfections on it, but it was early on for us. Cutting everything out and like that.
You did all blue, even the floorboard.
Yeah. This machine has we've literally had this thing taken apart probably 8 or 10 times at least. We've continued to test different components in it. We've most recently a week ago we had the transmission out of it. We're testing a new lining for the transmission bands. Something that's going to be a little higher performance, and we're actually redesigning the bands. We've been working on that for a little while, and so we have a really nice design that's
good.
Frankly going to tackle a lot of issues that
make it smooth and quiet. I'm sure.
It'll help with that. But the biggest thing too is that it'll be able to handle the higher power that this EFI engine offers, as well as some larger engines that we'll be using pretty soon.
Good.
So,
yeah.
We gotta work on this. And of course, the transmission itself, we had to redevelop all the tooling for that. For the housing, and of course, all the internal components of the transmission are now machined from billet. And we used a higher grade of steel, stronger grade of steel. So that further makes the transmission beefier, I guess, for larger power.
You're using these to secure the body?
We are, yeah.
These are like a plastic wing nut instead of the
old
ones?
They're much easier on your fingers.
Yeah,
and
the wings don't break off.
Right,
like the old ones. Yeah.
And they stay nice and tight, too.
Are you using this fan on production, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so this fan comes standard with every vehicle. It actually pushes air out. So some people ask, well, would snow or water get inside? Well, if it's running, no, it blows it out. This makes the Max 2 actually runs cool with that fan blowing. You can feel a little bit of air just barely sucking in around the outside. But that was one issue that the Max 2 always had, was that the temperatures up here would get to about 140, 150 degrees.
They were hot.
Right now, in the Florida summer at 95 degrees outside, this will not exceed 107 degrees.
Oh yeah.
So
nice.
the fan has a quick disconnect. It's hooked up on a solenoid, when the engine's running. There's a quick disconnect, so you take the fan right out. We include the original plastic engine cover. So if you're up north and you want to keep the heat in your vehicle, you have no use for the fan, but you can swap it out whenever you want. So.
Yeah.
The original floorboard kind of came down and it rested on these inner rails, and it came to about right here. So what we had to do was add a spacer on the mold to where it comes up to give clearance for this. So that was something that, fortunately, the company that forms our bodies, they have an in-house.
Yeah. So you're not using a cable at all. There's nothing there. It's all solid.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. Your adjustment will happen right here. So. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing,
Nice to
Brandon?
meet you.
Yep. I'm an old school Max guy. So
I've heard. I've heard. We've watched your videos.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Watched a lot about the T20 actually.
Yeah.
We might actually pick your brain on some stuff before you leave.
for sure.
on
That's
that.
why I'm here. I want to see you guys do the best that can be done. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what kind of what color upper bodies are you going to be doing? You see, you got a green lower here.
Yeah, we have 3 colors in our black, blue, and green. And then we have all 3 of the colors in the lowers as well. So this green on green recently has been a hit.
Yeah.
We're getting seeing a lot of inquiries coming in. We posted a picture of the green on green with tracks online.
Yeah.
It really looks like a mini tank with that, and having the tracks on the outside really fills it out. And so this,
nice color.
This is the one going to one of our dealers actually.
Yep.
Just ordered it, and then the other green one over there is going to Texas. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm Brandon. Good to meet you.
I'm Laverne.
Laverne. Yep. So you're the guy putting them all together these days, huh?
My step, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your step here? What's your parts you do?
So I put the chassis in, which already has a transmission on it, and then I do the bearing cages on the outside, put the axles in, put the sprockets on, put the chains on, eventually wiring harness, throttle, cable stuff, and then put a motor in.
Okay. Awesome.
And then I hand it off to the next guy at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. All right.
Would be
Like one of the most sold ones. Yeah, but I mean, people like the green, which is.
Yep.
I'm surprised that I think people are more like, I say like first green on black and then green on green.
yeah.
Those two
I would say.
is what we're
Which
seeing.
is kind of surprising.
Yeah, but the thing is, the black, it doesn't really pop in pictures like the green does.
Yeah.
But when you see a black machine, like we have a black machine up there with dual wheels on it, in person, it looks amazing.
Yeah. No, it's a nice finish.
So we have, every vehicle comes standard with these gauges. So a tachometer that gets the reading directly from the EFI computer on the engine. A GPS speedometer runs off of a GPS module right here. So, rather than having whatever hooked up to the engine or to the drivetrain, it's GPS, because then you get an accurate reading when you're going in the water as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you're going 3 miles per hour or whatever. So. But every new Max now comes with a 17-digit
Oh, a real VIN number.
pin.
Yeah.
Technically, it's called a pin because it's an off-road vehicle, so it's not a VIN, but it's VIN, whatever. So yeah, 17-digit VIN number, so it can easily be registered, insured, like that.
Yeah. Good looking seats. Smoother material, probably easier to clean.
Yeah.
Than the old textured ones.
The fit and finish for us was a really big important thing to pay a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Detail on. The cargo rail, just like the chassis, is now finished in matte black, and the roll bar is as well, rather than gloss or chrome. And what we did for the cargo rail is they used to, like even the posts right here, they used to flatten them and just kind of weld them, and we ended up having it coped. Gives a nicer finish and makes it stronger. And I think we're actually using thicker wall tubing too for that, so we made that change. Of course, we got rid of the 12-volt cigarette lighters, not really used for that. But so now we have dual USBs.
Oh, yeah.
That also, when it's on, there's a volt reading right here in the center, and you can see it with the lid on.
Nice.
So, So you
that's a good change.
still have the voltmeter. There's no ammeter. I don't really see a purpose for that.
Yeah.
But these, of course, LED lights all the way around. Every vehicle is still, pre-wired for a heated throttle cable. We're going to be offering bilge pumps too, as an extra accessory that can be plugged into the same harness and switch that operates the heated throttle cable. Because a lot of people don't get the heated throttle cable,
Sure.
but they might want to have a bilge pump instead.
Yeah.
So we're
A
gonna.
bilge pump is always kind of difficult to add on the old ones, so it'd be good to have a nice mounting point for
Yeah.
them and make them more where they actually pull the water out of them rather than sitting up too high like some of them did back then. Yeah. So, we got a real Camo Max 4 here.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So.
Any plans to build that color?
Well, this is the only one like this. So I'm going to be keeping one of like each of these colors, kind of on the shelf, just as a collection or something. I'm probably not going to ever build this one into a vehicle, just because it's fragile. The finish on it's fragile. But we are in discussion with Mossy Oak. Yeah. With Mossy Oak for their camo patterns, because they're the official camo for Ducks Unlimited, which we're currently in a couple of their magazines.
Yeah, I know those were always hits for Argo, so they're probably worth the extra money.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at maybe offering some Mossy Oak camo next year sometime. We have to dual extrude the plastic, have a clear layer of plastic on top, so it won't scratch off, make it more durable. There's a lot of work that goes involved into making that happen. So doing single colors or even doing the swirl camos will probably come first.
Yeah, even when they did the old swirl camo, that was always a popular one.
Yep.
So
it was very popular.
yeah,
Their
good
sales
option.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we were just looking at the original body cutout. It's been used since day one?
Since 1969. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have T20 assembly over here.
This is our T20 bench. Don't need much space to build these things right now, but so the T20 is made the same as it was made previously, using the same engineering drawings and like that. So the nice thing is all the parts that we're producing for T20s will work in older generation T20s. Everything from brake bands to ring gears, shift collars, everything. So, but we did make some upgrades. So this carrier drum here. So all these components previously were machined from castings, and which is a very efficient way of production, but is also weaker than doing than machining from billet. So all of our new components are machined from billet and using a higher carbon steel, so it's actually a stronger grade of steel than previously. Of course, we have the custom annular bearings, original part number, original Red Creators bearing, and so we made some. Let's see, like the little keepers in here. The U channels are now stainless steel. Apart from that, I think everything else is kind of the same as it was before. I guess with the same thing as what we were talking about with the case. The bushing in here is a steel back bronze, which is what Borg Warner originally called for.
Yeah,
So.
everything's much more durable and well built. I know these were a common replacement part, these shift collars or shift levers. So you offer those, and
Yep. Yeah, we have all this stuff on our website. You just go to maxatvs.com, and you go to the menu at the top where it says Store, and click on that. And we have all parts and accessories for all Maxes, or everything that we have in here anyway, plus all the T20 parts too. So, and then so.
awesome. It's good to have all these parts available again.
Yeah, there's a shortage for many years of these parts.
It was becoming a problem. I mean,
yeah.
It's, so the mold process on these, you got to take this to a vacuum former.
Yep. So our molds go to a vacuum former. We use a company up north, so we're going to soon have all these molds trucked up there to have them formed. This is the rear floorboard for the Max 4. Then we have the lower tub for the Max 4 Buffalo. We have the Buffalo upper body mold. and then at the end we have the Max 4 upper body mold. So the way that these are formed, and actually these are formed upside down, so they hang upside down on the machine. They take a large sheet of plastic, it's heated up to where it's malleable and can form over the body. They bring the sheet up to the plastic, and then there's little pinholes throughout the mold. It's kind of dirty here, but there's little holes spaced about maybe 1.25 inches apart all around here in all the crevices and corners, and there's vacuum lines that are hooked up to the molds. So they they suck all the air out, and that's what draws the plastic in and pulls it up against the body. And then they keep the suction applied so the plastic stays tight against the mold until the plastic cools enough and will keep its shape. In the meantime, so these are specialized tools as well for forming. There's different kinds of tools you can use for vacuum forming. This is like the top kind of tool where it's cast aluminum. These large molds weigh about 2,500 pounds each, and they have copper water lines running inside them, which help control the temperature of the mold, because the mold will get really hot when you add a plastic sheet of 300 degrees on it. But what they do is they run the water. They can control how warm or how cool the mold itself is, so the plastic doesn't cool down too quick, because then you start getting some marks in the plastic, and it will cause deformities and like that. If it cools down, they're called chill marks. And but they can also speed up the cooling by running cooler water in it, to where rather than taking 15 minutes to form a body, they can shorten it down to about 6 minutes. So for production, it makes it much more efficient, and the less time our vendors run the machine, the cheaper it is for us to make the part. So it helps them out, it helps us out. So we're very thankful that Max has invested in this kind of tooling up front. They redesigned the Max 4 in 2000 with rectangle headlights and everything.
Yeah. So this, you acquired this from Recreative from back then?
From the company that owned all the assets.
Right. So these are the original bodies that they used back then, the molds.
Yes.
That they used. Huh?
Yes. Yeah. Keep them busy a little bit. There we go.
Well, the guys are finishing up on some brand new machines here. It's been an awesome day here. And Andrew, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Yep, we are so glad to see the Max back in action. Everyone thought it was gone, so looks like you're doing it better than ever. We'll check back in with you here in a couple months maybe, see where you're at with it.
Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.